And that's kind of still in the pipeline, but as with any of these sort of larger organisations, what have you, they can take a long time to come to fruition, because you've just got to battle your way through like a board of directors and all these decision makers. So it literally could be 2 years down the line, and all of a sudden it might actually happen. I mean, like, I think you need, for certainly businesses and gyms. I think one of the routes where I went in was I had to find some form of cost saving for them, and I did that by sort of presenting it as, well, how much do you spend per month or per annum on cleaning sprays or cleaning products in your gym? And this particular gym, the Milton Keynes one alone was spending, I think it was £30,000 or £35,000 a year cleaning products inside the gym. So by introducing the machine, in particular the Super 501, you could essentially say, well, you can use the anti-bac water out of it, the strong Kangen, and you can reduce how much you're spending on your anti-bacs and what have you. And it's a natural product, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. So you can show them a cost saving there, and that's all they really care about. To be quite honest with you, the health side of it, they're like, don't care. You know, at the end of the day, by putting these machines in, we're technically going to waste more water because some of that water is going down the drain. So it could cost us more. But showing them that cost saving, that instantly is okay. So now they're listening.
Yeah. Because obviously with the football team, I thought obviously like you got the health side, but like you say, on a stadium that big and all the cleaning products they must have, obviously trying to convince them that water could, clean your stadium. That can be a tough one, but yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, it's going to be taking time and speaking to as many people as possible. Because when I searched it, there was like you've got about 15 different types of doctors for the players, and then like nutritionists. So I thought, do I email one of them? And then I thought I was there, and I just thought, nah, forget it. I emailed every single one of them instead with the same thing. So I thought, if I email one of them, it could be that one that's just having the bad day. Who goes, I don't want to read that. So I thought if I email all of them, they're all going to talk about it at some point.
So email is one way, but then another way would be to literally take the water in, and take the water in, and because I mean I was lucky with Nuffield in the sense of I know someone who works sort of there and has basically got me in through the door, which is the hardest part. But when you get there and you can take that in and physically let them try it, and have regular water with you as well.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Differentiate between the two, and they can physically taste and feel the difference in the water there and then. And I think that's a big selling point in its own right. And if you look back to in Dusseldorf, when he was doing all the testing as well, I mean, he had other waters there and everything else. He was doing the testing, and he was showing the differences between it. Actually, something physical you can see or taste or feel or whatever is a big thing. I think certainly for offline.
Yeah, definitely. That's right. Thank you.
I must admit, Grant, just whilst you're on that subject, the health side of it, you could look at, especially the perfect time with the heat is hydration.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
And especially for a football team.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you've just watched the World Cup. They were absolutely knackered in that heat. Knackered. Yeah.
I mean, it even shows you live them literally stood there with water bottles, emptying it over themselves.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
because I was literally going to show them like the anti-inflammatory side and the reduction on your body. And to be honest, the hydration just slipped out of my mind. So thank you for that.
Oh, that's all right.
Right. Sorry, Diddy Beth. I was just going to say I'll message you separately afterwards because I've got a contact at Aston Villa who.
Oh, no way.
That's the right people. So I'll message you about that.
Oh, that's wicked. Thank you very much. Cheers.
I was just going to say, Grant, as well, there's many avenues with like football clubs that, again, in terms of like presenting a business opportunity to them, as James explained about showing them where they can save money. You could also, I got a job at Aston Villa when I was younger in the catering department. So even things like that, you could look into how it can help with food and catering and preparation.
Yeah, of course.
So take kind of those things into consideration as well, how it's going to help.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is why I love this community, everybody. Say one thing and it spirals. I had one little idea and then you've just filled in all the blanks. That's wicked. Thank you so much.
And yeah, I'm sure everyone that was at kind of Dusseldorf at the event in Germany, when Mr. Oshiro came on stage and even throughout the day, everything that was kind of said was the thing that kept on getting repeated and repeated and repeated, and which I definitely don't do enough, is share the water. That was literally it. Everything was share the water and they'll know. Share the water and they'll feel the effects. And that was it really. And if you want to kind of approach offline sales, your best way to do it is to literally, even if you buy like a few of these, like, yeah, it's going to cost you in the short term. Like these are what, £3 from Home Bargains, if you've got a Home Bargains near you.
Yeah, I did.
And yeah, literally you could just leave that with them. And do you know what I mean? It's just something else that might get you a sale, it might not. And you could kind of buy 50 of these.
Yeah.
But you could bag
like
100 chain restaurant of sales. You never know.
Yeah.
So,
I was looking at buying some about a month ago. So I wanted some for myself and my friends and family to try the water. But I don't like keep refilling a plastic bottle because it's constantly active, the plastic, so it just gets the residue off. So I wanted hemp bottles. And I thought that might be a nice twist because there's probably not a lot of people in the community at the moment using a hemp bottle, and that's going to attract a different market entirely as well. So I just thought, and I looked, it's quite cheap if you buy it in bulk. So I think it was like, you go on Alibaba and I think it was like 500 bottles, and it was like, yeah, I know, it's 500 bottles and it was like 30 pence a bottle. So
where are you going to sleep? It's going to fill up your bedroom.
Oh my God, Harriet, I'm so happy you've just said that. Because it's not about where I'm going to sleep, but my mum buys in bulk, so I just want to show you guys this.
oh my God.
That's the last of it. I can't get in my bedroom at the moment. You can't get in the fucking bathroom to use it.
For anyone that is just jumping on at the moment, we're just kind of throwing questions towards Mike and then just brainstorming from there on. So if you've got anything that's, I don't know, been playing on your mind, you've wanted to ask for some time, you might have even popped him a message and he might have got back to you. Who knows? I know he was working his way through a few hundred emails at one point.
Oh my gosh, Mike. I have one just very little question, and it is that there's one minuscule little detail I want to change in one of my ad copies. I just want to swap a letter around. If I do that, does that completely kill the advert? Do I need to duplicate it and do it that way? Because I don't want to lose all the social proof on it.
Got to duplicate it. I'm sorry. If it's going well though, I probably just wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
If it's still, like, I've posted an ad before where literally in my first line I had a huge grammar mistake and it was still running and it bothered me, but it was still getting results, so I just let it be.
Okay, maybe I'll just leave it. I've found with some people's as well, I'll see like grammar issues or spelling mistakes or something like that as I'm reading through them, and sometimes it makes you think, well, they're a real person.
I was just going to say that me, Adam and Lily went to a webinar from an Australian multi-million per year marketer on Facebook, and he said that he'll purposely get his ideas down, write the ad really quick, glance at it once. If there's any obvious mistakes, he'll correct them, but any minor mistakes that you wouldn't really notice unless you were being finicky, he'd leave in. He'd even leave it so, like, just single I's, which are meant to be capitalized, are uncapitalized, and he'll just leave it because it shows that he's human and that he's taken the time to write this and it's not just been thrown out by a company.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's great.
Right then. Obviously we've got Josh in the house as well now. Hey Josh. Right then, any more questions, anything coming to anyone's mind before we move on a little bit?
I could ask a question about the split testing. I know Tom and Josh and that did the split testing as well. And I suppose what are your thoughts on the new split test? Because when I've run them and you get to the end, and I know then you sort of duplicate and when you relaunch that advert, it doesn't seem to get the reach that it had as being the winning and what you'd expect the results to be from the winning ad. And then it's kind of like, well, why did I just do that split test?
I know both myself and Adam feel very strongly on this this feature, and we both agree that Facebook are arseholes.
That's so well put. I love it.
It's probably just sample size, James. So if you do a split test and it runs for 3 days, but then you run your normal ad, it takes like a few days for it to regulate. So if you're turning them off too early, it doesn't get the amount of traffic through. And also, what budget are you doing? Because you should start, whatever you start your split test as per ad set, that's what you should start your actual ad at. So when you duplicate, that will work.
Right.
But you have to let the ad settle. The split test feature is actually really good. But try longer split tests. I'm guessing you're doing them for like 3 or 4 days at the moment.
4 days, and I let them run to the end normally, although I switched one off this morning because I literally only had 2 leads from it. So I was like, and it's been running for 3 days, so I was like, that's gone. But yeah, it's interesting. So you've got to keep the budget the same when you duplicate it as a single ad.
Yeah, and I wouldn't get in the habit of turning them off because if you set that money for the split test, just have in your mind that you'll spend it either way, because sometimes what Facebook will do and the algorithm will do is it will send the first 80% of the budget to the wrong traffic that will get you no leads. And then it realizes that. So it sends the last remaining 20% of your budget to the correct audience and the correct engaged people. And you'll find that the end of your split test will be where all the leads come from. Like that happens for me 7 or 8 times out of 10, that the last day of the split test is the best one. So just don't get attached to the money in the results, get attached to the process. It's the easiest way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've got an ad that I started running after a split test, and I'm really like casual and kind of relaxed with my ads. Like I talk about it with Harriet and James and Tashi quite a lot. I'm just really like chilled out. I'm quite happy to let it kind of go. And I think my current ad, because it did quite well in the split test, I think I let it go for about a week before it started to get kind of consistent leads on that particular ad. And then yesterday, I think I got like 7 leads from it or something. And it brought the cost per lead went up like really high. And then obviously I got all those leads in and then it brought it down again. So I think it's just just being patient. I'm quite happy just to be patient. And it doesn't matter how much it costs. I know I'm going to get results from it.
I mean, it's quite a fine line. Like you want to definitely be aware of if they're getting out of hand. But that's why I'd go back to ages ago, James, when we did that budget in PowerPoint on the Mastermind. If you can allocate money and not get results orientated, get process orientated and look at statistics and go that way, because that's how you're going to find a winner. It won't be like, I've got 8 leads in 1 day. That's my winning ad. That may be the case, but it may be that the first 20% of your budget was spent on the right audience and then it will tailor off. So I'd go back and watch that. I don't know, Mike, if you have that same sort of process driven, but you probably, you definitely do. But
no, it's same thing, exactly what you said. Sometimes Facebook out the gate, it's the same thing. Sometimes it goes for those low-hanging fruits essentially right out the gate, and it picks them all, and then it essentially has to recalibrate to find other fruits higher up in the tree. But like all these people have been saying, don't get attached to like certain X per day. Do always keep a look at the running average though. Like you have like the lifetime of the ad that you're running for. Then I also look at it 3-day chunks as well to make sure everything's going accordingly.
I love the fruit analogy, Mike.
I got that from a Perpetual Traffic podcast.
they say on there that it's like 10 days to regulate an ad, don't they?
I was just going to say that in all the stuff that I've been reading recently about the algorithm is that as a staple, you should always try and let it run for 7 days, because that's the learning period, or you need to get 10 results before that for the learning period to complete.
Yeah, because you've got to think, like, some of the audiences will be sending adverts to will be like 1 million people, and if you're spending £5 a day, that is nowhere. It's never ever going to get you an accurate data set. It's just going to be like, it could just be this little bit, it could be here. It's not a fair representation. So it's just it's like a trust thing in yourself as well. And when you know that it's going to work, you know that your adverts work, this will happen. You just have to, like, as Camilla said, just relax and allocate the budget and just say, I'm going to spend this, and then set like toll gates for yourself. So say, like, after 3 days, if X, Y, and Z isn't happening, I'll turn it off. But if it is happening, I'll just leave it, you know. And then after a week, you might have an ad that's just printing 3, 4, 5 leads a day. So just think of it that way. It's long term, isn't it? It's always long term.
Yeah.
It's, we're all.
Go on, Adam.
I was just going to say, we're all guilty of that, setting an ad running, and then it's like you're looking at your phone thinking, I gave it a little look. Have we pulled anything yet? We're all guilty of that, but like Josh, Camilla, Mike said, like, you just try and relax, and just whatever will be, will be. I mean, I know why Camilla's relaxed, because her ad is flying at the minute, and every time I look, she's bringing a new member in. So, but yeah, I agree with everything as well.
I think I was just going to say, in terms of, obviously Josh said, just trust the process and trust that it's going to work out. And part of that, for many of you that do kind of believe in the law of attraction and everything, comes into that as well. If you're constantly checking an ad and being negative about it, and like, oh, I've not got a lead, and oh, it's not working, oh, I might shut it off, then in terms of like law of attraction and stuff like that, it's never going to get leads. So the more positive you are about it, and if you've set that budget and you know that it's going to run for that period of time, just trust that they're going to come and it's going to happen, and you're going to get a sign up or a few sign ups. And yeah, just try and kind of positively affirm it more.
Yeah, what really helped me when I started, and I still do this now, is I'll just check ads at a specific time of the day. It's normally like about 10:30 when I've done other important tasks. I check. If they need adjusting, I'll adjust it. And if they don't, I just leave it and don't check till the next day, because for one, you're way less productive with other things you could be doing than checking that specific ad. You could spend the time that you feel like, oh, this ad's not very good. That time's wasted, and it compounds to a wasted day, because you're like, oh, my ads are all so you'll waste time that way. Whereas if you just set this block, yes, you're going to have a lot of bad adverts, but you are also going to have good ones. So if you just take, I don't know, that works for me. Just taking that one little block and being really objective, because if you get emotionally attached to adverts, you're just going to really struggle. So be as objective about it, because the market will never lie. I've written adverts that I'm like, this is the one, and it just burns. And then I write another one and it's like, oh, this is good. So just balance it.
I can confirm what Josh just said about writing the ad that you're like, yeah, this is the shit. I found what I was convinced was the perfect picture. I've written a decent ad to go with it, and I was like, yeah, this is going to bring in my next bunch of sign-ups. I ran it for a week and I got absolutely jack shit from it. That's it.
Don't hold back there, Camilla.
No, it was the way that you deliver it, Tom. Honestly, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't see a point in beating around the bush. That's what it was. I got fuck all from it, so I just learned that I need to make sure that when I send an ad live, I'm a bit like, oh, is it gonna go? Is it gonna go? And then just go with it.
Me and Tom, we haven't done it so much recently, actually. We might have to start doing this. But every time we'd set an ad up and send it off, we'd sit there going, we love you, ad. You're going to work. Bring in sign-ups. And we'd like send the ad off with love. And then we'd press like send. And it's literally what we do. We'd be like, yes, ad, you're going to work. Like it's your baby. Yeah.
It is.
Love it.
Oh, I should just say, congratulations, Adam. #1 on the leaderboard, mate.
I know. How amazing
John, you were
is
just
that?
talking about babies, and I thought you were going to say something.
Oh,
I had a heart attack.
Not before the wedding, Harriet. Not before the
No.
wedding.
No, congrats, Adam. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right then, guys.
Yeah, can I ask something 1 second? See, I've got like over 60 leads on my ad, but still no sign up yet, and it's like on $3 or something per ad, or not per lead. So what does that mean? Is that good, or I don't know? Yeah.
Who's answering?
I think it's bringing in leads. If it's bringing in leads, the ad's working and it's getting results. It's just
trying to get the sign up, like
waiting for that sign up.
Yeah, and messaging people, asking, like, trying to sort of convince them to like take a leap of faith and join in. But some of them, there was one today messaging, she said that something happened before, like she was joining another like online business, and a couple of days later they asked her for $2,000, and she didn't want to pay it. So she was like asking me, can you confirm that I won't have to pay us money for us? I was just like, well, we're here to like to change lives and start your own online business, and it's the whole point of it is like start it from, like, get you out of your 40-hour job and just run your own life. Hasn't replied yet, like, so I don't know, just wait to see.
Yeah, I mean, these leads as well, Brian. You know, people don't always sign up immediately. Like as soon as they've registered and got their email, they might come in next week. They might come in a few weeks. I mean, Ryan actually messaged me today to check my lead sheet because he had a lead sign up from the 2nd of July 2007 on his sheet. So that's over 1 year old. I'm not saying that everyone's that's going to happen to everyone, but it just shows you what happens. Like people follow us, and you know, they might not sign up immediately, like within 2 hours of you know, of watching the webinar or whatever. But yeah, it just shows you how it can work. You might have got 60 leads now. 2 or 3 might sign up at once next week or something. You just never know.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe.
Just to confirm, Adam did say 2007, but he meant 2017.
Did I? You didn't.
Yeah, I was guessing that after he said
You didn't stop me.
But
It'd be a better story, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I was thinking he's not been in the business for that long.
I thought you were all looking quite shocked.
You're like, what?
2017 it was.
But James, you were quite a slow guy coming on board, weren't you?
Who was that? Sorry, Camilla.
James, we were having a chat before, and James was saying that it took him a while to come on board, and obviously look at him now. So it just shows the difference.
Yeah, it took, even from, say, like sign up to affiliation was months in between. So, you know, everyone's different. And yeah, people will sit on the fence. They might just be like looking at what you're doing. They might be like going to your fan page. They might be. I get messages of people. I had one today of a lady who's messaged me. She's seen my review and she's asking me about. I haven't replied yet, but she's asking me about like CEO movement and stuff like that. I mean, she could well be going through someone else. I don't know. I'm obviously going to reply to her, and hopefully, you know, give her enough positivity to get her on board. But you know, she could have been well signed up on your sheet a week ago, and you know, might just be investigating.
Mm-hmm.
You honestly never know. Like everyone operates differently. Last week I had 2 signups, and I went and checked back, and I got 2 on my lead sheet. They originally signed up in October of last year, so that's 10 months almost. Yeah, you just honestly never know. Same thing with affiliation. Remember having a coaching call with a girl back in like September of last year, and it took her about 6 months to get affiliated. So follow up beyond them. Don't get X lead syndrome, where you get like say 50 leads and then you're just like, oh, this is bullshit, it doesn't work, and then you stop. I've seen that happen far too many times.
So I'll be like mine on maybe. Get them in.
Right then, guys, just to discuss what we came here to discuss. So obviously, we've been kind of brainstorming, and we discussed talking about like hooks. So that's hooks in your adverts. So that could be the one thing that could be missing from your advert, why people aren't kind of clicking through to your website, or why they're just not completely invested. So yeah, does anyone want to take it away? Anyone? Let you go, Adam. You know he was going to talk, so I'm just going to bully you.
Yeah. So well, I'll kick us off then. Does everyone know what a hook is, or does anyone not know what a hook is? And if anyone does anyone want to give us a description?
At the headline on top of the ad, it says like the way on my one says like warning, Facebook alert warning. I think I have on it. Is that the hook?
Kind of, because it could catch someone's attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my opinion, and I don't know what the other guys think, a hook is literally someone that is gonna something, either a sentence or a couple of words that is really gonna catch someone's eye while they're scrolling your ad. Not necessarily a headline. Maybe it's the sentence after your headline. But literally, like, you're hooking someone with a fishing rod or whatever. You're hooking them into your ad by putting something out there, putting a sentence together to really catch their eye so they stop scrolling.
It's like the sentence that will create curiosity and make people want to know more. So as they read it, it will be like a snippet of what you have to offer, normally touches a pain point, or is like not a watered down version, but as I say, a snippet of the full offering. And it's the part that, on the main hook you're going to want to focus on is, on your Facebook ad, it's got like the block of text, image, but that text can be as long as you want. The hook will be the last sentence before that ... So like they read it and they're like, oh, and then they click it. And then that's what Adam means by hooking them in. You make them read the rest of it. So if you don't have that, it means that people may stop and read your ad, but they might read like 2 sentences and be like, nah, there's like nothing here for me. So that's, for me, the most important hook in Facebook advertising.
Yeah, I agree, because it's the top of that advert is essentially you've only got a second to catch somebody's attention. So, and it's got to be really sort of enticing them in to read the rest of that. And I think one of the adverts that I ran, that recruitment one, and I think it was something along the lines, I quit my job. Learn how I quit my job in 5 months, and in no brackets. It was like no BS or something like that, and they sort of read on below it, and then I had quite a good sort of results from that, to be fair.
Yeah. So what the hook should do is, people aren't actually buying anything from reading our advert, but what they're actually giving to us is their time to read on. So what the hook is actually doing, it's hooking them in to, it's selling them the rest of your ad copy.
Yeah, it's something that's going to want to make them read to the bottom where your link will be, probably right at the bottom of your copy, because there's no point having like, I'm not sure on other people's ads, but the majority of my landing page click-throughs are from the bottom of the advert. They're not from button clicks. Well, they've got rid of button clicks, but you can still see it. The majority of mine from the bottom of my copy. You're going to want to check that, but having the hook is that pretty much the only thing that gets them there, because they're not going to read the rest of the copy from a picture. They're not going to read the rest of the copy from a headline or the main body headline. The hook is like so critical to get them down into the ad. And I'm not sure if it does this on all adverts, but I think it's length dependent. If you click the ... it sometimes opens it in another tab on desktop. I don't know if anybody's seen that, because I suppose most people are mobile, but on desktop, if they click the ... it actually opens a new tab with the full length of the copy. So if they're there, they've opened it, it's so much more likely that they're actually going to read, and more than just read, they're actually going to like absorb and like digest what you're saying. They're going to actually be engaged in your copy and your advert. So when they do go onto the landing page, they're going to be a much higher quality lead. They're probably going to care. They'll probably know you by name. And that's how you're going to get more sales, more conversions on your leads. That one sentence.
Definitely. Anyone else got anything to add or give us an example of their hooks on their ads?
Yeah,
I was going to say I'd show you mine because I'll put my hands up and say that is something I have not been good at in the past, and it's something that I've tried to teach myself on. And I just started running a new advert at the beginning of this week, and I think it is the hook that's getting people, because the actual ad itself, the ad copy, is pretty similar, but I've changed the hook right at the top. Should I just read it? Or should I?
Yeah, you can just read it then. Whatever works best for you.
Travel the world whilst making an income with a question mark. And then it's got thousands of people are working part-time hours, earning full-time income, and then in brackets, and some. Do you want to work from anywhere with a laptop, Wi-Fi, and then with a question mark and a little picture of a phone? And then right after that is my ... And I'm getting a really reasonable amount of click-throughs on that. And it's a lot better than I had before, when I didn't have that sentence of, do you want to work anywhere with just a phone, laptop and Wi-Fi?
Can you read that again? Sorry, I missed that totally.
Oh, sorry, is my internet bad?
Yeah,
No, I think
a little bit.
Yeah.
Guys, okay, so it's the little sparkly emoji on either side of the sentence. It says, travel the world whilst making an income, but I've done it with a question mark, as if to be like, do you want to? And then thousands of people are working part-time hours online, earning a full-time income, and then in brackets, and some. And then after that, it says, do you want to work from anywhere with just a phone, laptop, and Wi-Fi? And then a little emoji of a phone with an arrow into it. And then that is where my ... are. So I think it's that last sentence which is getting the people to read it, because that's what I've changed recently, and that's where my clicks are now coming from.
Yeah, because they're going to want to read the rest of the ad to find out exactly how. So you could change that last sentence to can't remember the exact wording, but they're earning online and some, and then the hook could just be exactly how are they doing it. ...
Ooh, yeah, I could definitely give something like that a go. Let me write that down.
Just dead simple. Like the hook will be really simple, but it's like really, really important. But yeah, I really like that. It's not surprising. You've got to give someone a reason to read. Like, think about when you're on your phone. If you're going to read 4 paragraphs, it's got to be value. You've got to have something you're going to get out of it. Otherwise, you're just not going to read it, are you? It's impossible. You'll never hold the attention. So make sure the hook, like that, how exactly are they doing it? They'll read the rest of the 4 paragraphs to find out the answer to the hook. Essentially, that's really good, though.
Yeah, because you sold them what the deal is, and you've told them what the deal is in the first 2. But then, literally, they are thinking, how do I do it? And that's your next sentence, which is your next sentence, which is the actual hook. So yeah, I agree. Quality, Harriet.
So I'm not sure whether anyone touched on it, but for anyone that's quite new, obviously Harriet mentioned at the top of her ad, her hook is right before the ... where you'd see more for the rest of the copy. And yeah, it's obviously quite important to have the hook within that first kind of like 3 or 4 lines at the top of your copy, so that people will actually be encouraged to carry on reading down and not just stop at that top section and just, oh, can't bothered, and scroll past it. So yeah, it's important to kind of get a hook, at least one, right at the top there.
Yeah, and where that ... is like the perfect place for it, because that's how you're going to increase your click-through rate. If the hook is right there and they have to click the ... to get the answer. So say the hook's at the top and they like the hook, but then the next 2 sentences don't really add up and they're like, whatever. If they have to click that ... that is the win. That's all you're looking for with the hook. Essentially, at the basic level, get people to press the ... That's the hook.
Would you then recommend putting another hook further into your ad copy?
Yeah, you can put in hooks wherever, really. You don't want to do too many, otherwise people will be like, oh yeah, but a couple. But that top one is like, focus on the top one and split test the top one.
For me, I'd probably say your second hook is to learn more about this opportunity. That's your second hook, because you're giving them the solution to what they've read above.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like for me, I've got written down here by definition, a marketing hook is a front-facing messages customers see before becoming customers. It intrigues them and reels them in. It is the reason they take you up on your offer.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better, and well, obviously can't say it better than the definition, but that'd be pretty hard to do. But like,
no, I'm joking.
you've got to think people, especially British people, don't trust anything. Like, they don't trust no one. So if you bash a website link on there and they don't have a real reason to go to it, like a very defined 100% clear reason why they're going to go there, they're probably not going to go there. Whereas if you make it dead curious and they know that the answer is on the other side, that's how you're going to get them there with the hook that Tom just said. So it's main hook at the top, get them to the bottom. Second hook, take them off Facebook onto the landing page. That's the goals of the two hooks.
Well, I think it is, Josh. I don't even think it's that far in. Like you said, British people, we've got to have something to even get to a landing page. I just think that we've got to have something to read on in an ad. It's like, I'm not reading that after three letters or 3 words. I'm just going to keep scrolling until I find a cat video or something. You know what I mean? We're always buying in. We're always trying to get them to buy into the next part, not physically buy and hand over money, like buy into the next part of our ad.
Maybe we should make that a hook. Click the link to see a cat video.
Yeah. People will probably click it.
Oh my god, I just had a fucking idea.
God. We're keeping an ad together in future.
Well done.
I've got an unusual question. I don't know why it just popped in my head when Josh was talking about websites. I haven't seen whether your websites are the same, but with my website, when I put the URL, instead of there being a little tick next to the website, there's a little question mark. And I wondered if anybody knows, is there a way to turn that from a question mark to a tick?
I think only you can see that. I've noticed that on my link, because on my old domain link, it's got a tick, but my new domain link has got a question mark, but only I can see it in my ad. I don't think anyone else sees it.
No,
Okay.
nobody else will see. It's just to confirm to the owner of the ad that it is able to resolve the DNS name, which is basically your link is associated with an IP address and it gets translated to that. And if Facebook servers can't somehow translate it, then it just means that it's going to take a while longer for your web page to load.
I have been finding sometimes I've been clicking on it and it says it's taken too long to load and it just won't load.
That's why.
Yeah.
What I'd double check is I'd go on your GoDaddy or whatever you bought your domain off of and check your forwarding.
Okay. I'll do that. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted by Mike. You're like a dragon.
The dragon, yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop then for the.
Our Canadian dragon in the corner.
But again, too, with your hook, there's so many different types of hooks you can use. Like, for example, Harriet's, yours is a question. I recently attended a webinar about long writing copy for engagement ads. And here, I'll just show you guys some things that I got out of it. Rather than actually take notes on the webinar, I just screenshotted up a bunch of pictures and then edited them all. So again, another great hook is telling your story, telling a story. And this is the epic story formula, it's very, very, very similar to what's in .com secrets and expert secrets. So this person who hosted this webinar, again, it was Keith Krantz. He hosts the Perpetual Traffic podcast, but they had one of his main, they had one of their main clients on, and he was been an online marketer for 8 years. And for the first essentially 5 years of his career, he wasn't really getting any results. And he shared with us, he's like, he's just like, I just completely changed my whole marketing approach. I was just my authentic self, and I told my story. So he uses this story formula, the epic story formula, that's engage, present, illustrate, convert. So engage, he sets up the stage by really asking an open-ended question, a provocative question. And again, I'll run you through an example. I'll run you through his example after. He then presents all the struggles and challenges that he faced. So he explains a story about how he was struggling for the first 5 years. And then magically, and then he had this turning point. From there, he illustrates his journey of discovery and his epic realization. So he leads him kind of down this hole, and he just flips it with this one magical thing that happened. And then the last part, the C, is convert. Then he has his calls to actions, asking them to register, etc., etc. So this might be hard to see, guys. I apologize. It doesn't blow up. But his first lines, I'll read out the first couple lines in here for you. It's how the law of attraction did not work for me for 15 years until now. So very, very little provocative question there. He's saying, oh, this didn't work. How I missed this one piece of the puzzle that held me back from living the life of my dreams and achieving success beyond measure. And now he kind of jumps forward a bit. Now I'm 32 and live in a vacation destination doing the things most people only dream about every day with an income beyond most people's normal comprehension. You wouldn't believe me even if I told you. Just 3 short years ago, I was totally disillusioned at rock bottom, where I was starting over in a new place with only $200 to my name and no light at the end of the tunnel as to how I was going to put myself out of it. Now, before I get to specific steps, let me tell you how this started for me. Then I'll tell you what changed for me. So he's really illustrating just all the pains, the struggles he went through, what was not working for him. He's tried all these different things. By all means, I could put this in a document, send it over to you guys, because it is an insanely long ad. As you can see, it's 5 screenshots worth of an ad, because this webinar was based around long copywriting, and they've had a lot of success of long copywriting. And this is a complete engagement ad as well. It's not a conversion ad. There is no links for them to click on or join it. He's asking people to reach out to him directly. But essentially he goes through all these problems, and then he has a realization, and he lists them out as well. He had the right person come along. He got the right mentor and coach that showed me the way and showed me the missing pieces I had yet to put together myself. He consistently kept applying the laws of the universe, only now they were actually learning for me. I learned this one thing that allowed me to. He's created his dream lifestyle. It says, be the change you want to see. And he also has a disclaimer at the bottom too, like they're being insanely to the point. If you want to connect with me personally, shoot me a message here on Facebook. I make myself accessible because I truly care about the people I work with. Also, as a quick disclaimer, just because I make 5 figures income per month from the system does not guarantee that you will make any money at all. I don't know the level of your motivation or your willingness to follow directions. Your results vary based on your commitment of yourself. And all he does is just have a picture of them sitting on a boat. They're sitting out at this pier. There's questions, there's stories. It's the hook's essentially kind of the way you're presenting your ad. And like Adam and Josh have said, like your picture and your headline entices the person to read the first lines of your copy, and subsequently every other line of your copy is getting them to continue reading down until eventually they take action. So
and having it that way with that like long copy style, again, just speaking, I've not done this that often. I've done quite a few of these. The lead cost will generally be a little bit higher. So you're going to have to, I don't know if you've ran these, Mike, for our specific niche, but for me, the lead cost was higher, but the lead quality was actually better.
Yeah, you had a lot higher lead quality. What they, in this webinar too, they had here, I'll bring up the pictures. So they had this continuum of how pretty much most marketers operate, and what we do ourselves is we get the ad to get people to opt into the landing page. Then we let the webinar and the emails do the bulk, do the heavy lifting per se of enticing people to join up. What they're doing is flipping it around, and they're letting their ad do the majority of their heavy lifting and heavily disqualifying and pre-qualifying people through their ad, and then letting the emails and the webinar kind of take the remainder 20%. So it's 1 second. If you have anything to add, I'm just going to find these pictures.
Yeah, and you can do that in other ways as well. By like knocking out objections in your adverts is the same method. So pre-qualifying people to increase lead quality, stuff like, for example, if you ask a question in your ad, like, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, this isn't for you. If you're not willing to do this, if you list those things, people that actually click through by nature should be willing to do those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very similar to what we have on the web class. Kind of, is it right at the start, Adam, where we're like, oh, this web class isn't for you if you are this, that, and the other sort of thing.
If you're like a tire kicker and you want a quick success, you want to make money overnight, then this is not for you, etc. Yeah, so yeah, it's like that. But yeah, like Josh said, you're definitely going to get a higher. You would think you would get a higher quality lead, because if they've read every part of that ad and you've sort of given them the ground rules, haven't you, really? And if they're still happy to put their name and email in, then that is, I would think, a good lead.
Have you tried doing it the flip side? So instead of saying if you're not this, this, and this, have you instead said, are you this, this, and this? If you are, then, or does that not work quite as well?
Yeah, it definitely does. Just be a little bit careful. I was just about to say this as well as like a disclaimer. Don't use the word you if possible. Facebook doesn't like that through calling people out and separating people. So if you can definitely word the sentences without using the word you. This opportunity is for people who are driven. This opportunity is, whereas are you driven, it's going to get flagged very quickly. So just avoid that. But yeah, definitely. And to be fair, that probably will work to a different audience better, because people like to hear positive things. Like some people, me personally, I like the negative side of it. Because I'm English and that's just the way. But normally, most other audiences like positivity. So yeah, you can split test both. And whatever your voice is, Harriet, you're positive. So there's no point you writing and adding my voice, because no one cares about, no one will listen, So same as you, Camilla, you can't do a negative thing in your life. So don't do a negative one. As Mike said, your authentic voice.
Yeah, we used to do them quite a lot, Adam, didn't we? Like around August, probably July, August last year. Used to say like, if you are coachable, like-minded, motivated, it works quite well actually.
Yeah, well, like Josh said, that's how I would get around it, like by saying I'm looking for people who are etc. But just write the sentence down. If it's got you in it, it's not a problem. Just then, think of other ways how you can word it.
Yeah, and Facebook are really cracking down on that as well, so be very careful in all of your ads. I don't really know, I do know why, but they do seem to have taken it a little far in my opinion, so just be super careful with that.
In regards to the use of you, I had an extended call with a Facebook rep about a month ago. You are allowed to address people as you, and you can use the word you. You just have to be careful in the sense that you use it. You're not allowed to use you as a person. Well, it is a personal pronoun, but you're not allowed to use it to make assumptions about their life. you are allowed to ask them questions. So, does this sound like you? Are you coachable? Are you this, that, and the other? You are allowed to say that. You're not allowed to go. So you're stuck in your shit job, for example. Your job's shit. You want to get out of it. You're not allowed to go in and say and like make them feel negative about their life or the situation that they're in. So you couldn't put in your ad, I only want people with an income above this amount to click through, because you're making people feel bad and you're saying that they're this isn't for them and they can't do this.
Yes, just basically don't like discriminate against anyone. Try and be kind of like all inclusive and don't single anyone out too much in a negative way. Just try and make it kind of, if you are kind of touching on the negatives of a 9 to 5 or anything like that, just make it kind of like not towards a specific individual. Don't obviously use you. Just say, even if you say I used to hate my 9 to 5, and put the onus on you as a person, not the person that's receiving the ad.
The reason I had this call with Facebook is because 2 of my ads got shut down and I didn't get an email as to why. So I went through the chat system and so on, and I eventually got to speak to a person who offered to call me. So I booked a call with him, and he basically went through the 2 ads that were disabled and said that this one's been taken down because of this. And the phrase that I used in the ad was, I bet you still wouldn't be sat around in that office, on that shop floor, or in that warehouse.
I remember that.
I'm making an assumption that they're not going to want to do that, even though they're doing it. So it's making them feel bad about their situation.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Got nods all round.
I just get really good with these terms and conditions. I print them out, just read them, just get to know them. Just part of the business, isn't it? It's part of your business as well as protecting it. So understand the rules.
I'd say to view the terms and conditions as a contract of your business, because you wouldn't sign a contract at a job without reading it. So I'd just stay on top of the terms and conditions.
Also saves all the trouble and hassle of restarting an ad account, because it can be done. It's never going to stop you, but it is annoying. And I've had it done loads, and then I started reading the terms and conditions, and it hasn't happened since. So I do.
There you are, guys. Get your highlighters out. Mike, did you have any more to add on that webinar?
Yeah, I got this picture here. So, so this is what these people have been doing. It's been working insanely well for them. Because again, a question I get a lot of the time is, do I write short copy? Do I write long copy? To me, it doesn't matter. As long as you're getting your message across, as long as you're delivering value, there really is no limit. Primarily what these people are doing is they are writing out insanely long copy ads that are breaking down essentially what they're all going to get when they actually sign up and enter their name and email on the next page. So they're writing out long-winded newsfeed ads that's doing a large majority of their lifting. And then the other bits are the card page and the retargeting ads. I'm not going to get into retargeting, but traditionally this 80% is over here. And traditionally people do 20% for their ads, and then the remaining 80% is done through the actual follow-up, emails, all things like that. They're just pre-qualifying the shit out of people with their ad before they're actually opting in. So here's an example of a dude who they're advertising. This guy is advertising a course for artists and how to make money with Spotify. So he's being very direct and to the point, saying why getting paid for your online streams is 10 times easier than trying to sell your album from stage, and how you can get paid every time fans listen to your song. It's no secret that most people don't buy CDs like they used to, but they do stream music all day. What if I told you this actually works to your advantage, because now artists can get paid every time somebody listens to their songs on Spotify. He discloses his figures. Again, too, it's fine to disclose your figures. You can't say you're going to make the same amount, though. That's a big, big, big no-no. It's so much easier for people just to listen to music rather than trying to sell your album. You might as well get paid for it. So right then he just goes right into it. This is what you're going to get in his course, Spotify Profits. Find your super fans. How to build and promote your Spotify playlist, how to verify your Spotify accounts, how to grow your Spotify followers with social media, how to get on Spotify playlists at no cost to you. There's never been a better time. And they're straight to the point. You can pick it up here for $97 instead of $397 other places have it for. And then he also lists off bonuses as well. And he also does a little more qualifying as well. A lot of people, they're going to quit after their first song. Other people, they're going to make it to their first EP, but most never see it through having consistent and constant streams of their songs that support them full time. Let's get you past this trying to sell stage and start getting paid for streaming while you sleep soundly. Again, one last call to action here. This could easily be applied to what we do. Easily. In this webinar, this is what you're going to get. Like right now, we have the 5 secrets. Literally, if you don't know what they are, just go back, rewatch the webinar, write down what we just essentially rewatch the webinar and take notes on everything that's actually inside the webinar. And then, hell, you can be straight to the point. This is what you're going to get with your CEO Movement membership. AXA. You can literally like take the checkout page that we have and just stick it in your ad.
Yeah, because you got to think of the journey, and I feel like at the end of every mastermind, I end with the journey and the emotion of the prospect. But it is that, like, you think people read an advert that's just so convoluted and it doesn't really seem to have a point, and then they get to a webinar that they weren't expecting on a landing page they weren't expecting, and they're like, and they don't really know why they're there, so they sort of get lost, and then your lead cost goes way, and you're all a bit all over the shop. So put yourself in the shoes of your prospect and think how it's going to feel to read your ad and how much sense it's going to make when they get to your landing page, and how much sense it's going to make when you get to the webinar, the web class. Because if you can think of all of those parts, it's not easy. This is a skill you'll learn and develop. But if you can put yourself in the mindset of that person, the hook, what they'd like to see to get them down, what they'd like to read, what it's going to take for them to trust in the landing page and the web class, you'll just see loads and loads more leads and more sales, because the people coming through will actually care about business. Because I've had it where I've had leads for really cheap but never made a sale, and then I've had it the other way where my leads are a little bit more expensive and made sales. So I hope that makes sense. I feel like I could go on a bit as well, but
yeah, I think something again I feel like I bang on about, Josh, just being like consistent and making sure that everything's congruent. So if any of you've been through the 30-day fast track, I always mention that when you're first writing your ads, check out your landing pages, see what kind of language is used on there, and make sure that you're using now web class. That's the new word for the thing you go and watch on our website, web class. If you're putting in your adverts, masterclass or webinar, all kinds of stuff, and then they go to your website and they're like, wait, what am I watching? It's something tiny, but it could be something that puts someone off. So just little things, just kind of make sure you guys are checking out your landing pages. Even go through the bots, go through the chat system, and just make sure that kind of you know where that's going. And yeah, just get really familiar with it, because then obviously if somebody says to you, oh, for instance, mine and Tom's team, our bot goes through our duo fan page. So it goes to Tom and Lily. And then if people want to speak to a human, which sometimes they do, they can select one of us. Most of them speak to Tom. I don't know why. I'm actually a little bit offended. But yeah, so for instance, anyone in our team could be like, oh yeah, if you check out my website, and then you'll go through and speak to my mentors, Tom and Lily. And just knowing those little details and where kind of things flow to can definitely help you in your conversations with those leads and those people that could potentially become signups.
There's nothing stopping you using text straight off the landing page, headlines, details, because once they've read it once and they click through, it's not a surprise. They'll be like, oh yeah, I was expecting that. And actually tell people, like I do this all the time, at the end of your advert, you can explicitly say you'll need to register with only your name and email, because people are then expecting it. Because if they go to the landing page and it pops up and it's like name and email and they're like, ooh, didn't expect that, you're going to get less, a lot of link clicks, less leads. That's not what you want.
I used something in my most recent ad instead of previously where I'd put, just pop your email in to sign up for whatever. I know how some people nowadays, when you say, oh, put your email in, people go, oh, great, I'm going to get loads of spam. A way of making it a bit more fun or less nerve-wracking is now, instead I've changed it to put your best email into the, it was like the flashing green box, or like just saying something a little bit different than just put your email in. And that kind of makes people go, oh, okay, that's not so scary.
Yeah, I love that. And also you could just add in, put your name and email in. Don't worry, I'm not going to send you anything that's not of value. And I won't give your email to other people, because people do get worried about that stuff. I would never done that, but that sounds like a really good idea.
I'll make it sound quite small as well. Just use the word just. Just using your name, just your email, just your name and email. I use that quite a lot.
Just, yeah, that's good.
If we remember back to when I hosted that the mastermind on speaking to leads, I spoke about reciprocity, which is the natural occurrence of an emotion that you get when you feel like you're being given a gift and you want to give a gift back. So if you're being told that you're going to get all this stuff for attending this web class, and in return all you want is their name and email address, you're asking for far less than what it appears you're giving them. So they're going to be more likely to reciprocate your request.
Love that a lot. Right, I'm going to go and shoot off, guys. It's been a pleasure. I don't know if anybody's got anything to add, but I'm going to get some tea.
Take care, mate.
See you later, mate.
See you.
Bye.
Bye, Power.
One last thing I just add on as well is maybe in some part of the copy tell them it might be, well, it will be 90 minutes long, this webinar, or web class, sorry.
Yeah.
Just because I just thought of it then, and in my many chat where obviously all my team's leads go to for the Messenger web class, just had a few these last couple of days saying that they've not clicked a button, so obviously it follows up on the time of how long away they want to watch it. So some people have come through and said, I didn't realise it was 90 minutes and I'm busy now or whatever. So yeah, it just might be worth sticking that in into the ad as well. And like, it's like we were saying earlier, it's like one objection out of the way. Like, I haven't got time to watch it. Well, if it's in the ad copy, you would think that if they've not got time to watch it, they wouldn't register the name and email, and vice versa. If they are willing to give us time, give us 90 minutes to watch it, then they are going to register.
Yeah, I'd just say be as transparent as you can up until the point where they become a lead. So just literally tell them everything that's come in. Tell them as much as you can. And yeah, just explain the process to them. Gain that trust. And once you've got that trust, then you can build a relationship from there.
Yeah. Is that a wrap?
I think it might be. Any questions from anyone at all?
I've got a question.
Go for it, mate.
It's not really to do with the ads and that, but I was scrolling through Facebook, and I think I come across someone's ad, or I come across a post, and I saw the CEO page with all the little cutouts of everyone's faces in the background and everything, and it was saying like half price sign up or something like that. Is that true?
That's for the American and team.
Yeah, I saw an American flag on it. I didn't know if it was something
It's just like a 4th of July sale.
Are you guys doing a tour or is it just us?
It's just you
No,
guys.
no one here celebrates 4th of July.
Yeah, no, it's like we had Canada Day on Sunday and it's 4th of July today, so we did this last year too. It was just 50% off for this week.
Yeah.
On the other side of the pond.
We do have our times. I think we had a time during April where we had 50% off, and I believe the US and Canada didn't. I'm sure, let's all, fingers crossed, if we win the World Cup, we'll do 50% off then.
Yeah.
I'll bully Ryan.
You just did the if thing.
Wow.
Oh,
It's coming home. It's coming home.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't had anyone told you. It's coming home.
It's coming out.
Right, I won't let do that as well.
Well, yeah, we'll try and bully Ryan to it. He's Welsh, so we'll see. But yeah, I know a few of you on the Global Mastermind, I commented saying that I finally started using my Nest bar.
I saw that actually.
How is
For a
it?
couple of people.
It's really good. I've literally just been checking out my hair most of this Mastermind.
Very shiny.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shiny for blonde normally means greasy, but it isn't. It's been washed today. I'm well impressed, just so you all know. So if you're an Esper still on top of your wardrobe, like mine was, get it out, get it on, and have fun.
A quick question. Can you hook it up to your bath, or can it only be your shower?
You can
Because I'd never used it, I didn't even know that it had a separate like bath hose.
Oh,
So yeah, it's bath and shower.
nice.
Can you believe it? But yeah, share the water, change life.
Change yours,
Stay
change your
homies.
life.
We're not friends anymore.
Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mike.
And thanks
Thank you,
for
Mike.
doing all that content. Absolutely incredible.
Mike, what time is it for you?
It's only 2:18 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
It's not crazy o'clock.
Yeah. Good. I want to see what these ones were like.
What do you think?
I
They
jumped
have,
on the US
they
one.
have to ditch to North America.
That's it. Just come and join us. We're up there. Right then, guys. We're off to have some dinner as well. We haven't eaten yet. So I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.